Good evening and thanks for joining us on Nationwide today. I'm Elizabeth Omori. Leaders and members of the All Progressives Congress at all levels have been tasked to make the required sacrifices towards ensuring that the governing party remains a formidable democratic enterprise focused on building a strong, united and prosperous Nigeria. President Muhammadu Buhari will through the challenge at the opening of the virtual National Executive Committee meeting of the party said the spirit of negotiation exhibited by members during the merger talks pre-2015 must be recreated towards achieving the objectives. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo will bring us details in the course of the bulletin. The federal government has reduced the pump price of fuel by 5 naira following its meeting with organized labor on Monday. The Minister of Labor and Employment, Chris Ngige, has confirmed that the reduction would bring down the pump price of premium motor spirit to 162 naira 44 kobo. Ngige further stated that the new price regime would take off from next Monday, 14th of December. It disclosed that the cut in price did not represent a discontinuation of deregulation in the industry, as it was not a cut on the price of crude oil, but that a committee would be appraising the market forces and every other thing that would make the sustainability and stability in the industry, as well as liaising with all the marketers to make sure that a cap is always maintained. The committee would report back to the meeting on the 25th of January 2021. Ngige also noted that the Electricity Committee had made tremendous progress, would continue its activities, and would also report back on the 25th of January 2020. President of Nigerian Labour Congress, Comrade Ayuba Waba, said that price stability would protect poor Nigerians from the volatility of the oil and gas market. The second demand, which has to do with the issue of electricity tariff, will have to wait till next year. Federal government's drive in diversifying the economy is receiving a boost, with experts in the tourism and transport sectors deliberating on how the complex relationship between both industries can be harnessed. This was made known at the National Tourism Transportation Summit in Abuja, organized by the Institute for Tourism Professionals of Nigeria. Oinaya Kaloka reports.
Connectivity brought by road, rail and maritime transport is at the heart of tourism development. Tourism and transport play an important role in sustainable development. With the challenges of COVID-19 affecting the sectors, the third edition of the summit with the theme Repositioning Tourism and Transportation, Connectivity and Mobility to Revitalize the Economy had participants from the public and private sectors interacting on ways of exploring the inherent benefits of both sectors.
The President Muhammadu Buhari-led government identified both tourism and transportation as two of the preferred sectors that are critical to the economic diversification agenda. It's not by error, but a deliberate effort to grow the two industries for better performance.
Key players deliberated on the complex relationship between transport provision and tourism in boosting the national economy.
It's there to bring about policy changes. It's actually there to ensure that better understanding among key sectors of the economy and come together and do joint-up thinking in moving the industry and the country forward.
How do we turn the economy? How do we move the economy forward post-COVID-19? So for us to be able to achieve that, it means we need to all wake up.
We have seen the effect of aviation in boosting of tourism in countries like UAE and Qatar. So it's very important.
Unique cultural products and services were showcased at the summit. Oyina Kaloka, NTA News.
Nigeria has denied the allegation by the United States of engaging in systematic and egregious religious freedom violations. In a statement signed by Segun Adeyemi, Special Assistant to the Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed described the allegation as a case of honest disagreement between the two nations and causes of violence in Nigeria. Lai Mohammed said Nigeria does not engage in religious freedom violation, neither does it have a policy of religious persecution. Victims of insecurity and terrorism in the country are adherents of Christianity, Islam, and other religions. He added that Nigeria jealously protects religious freedom as enshrined in the country's constitution and takes seriously any infringements in this regard. To the oil and gas now, OPEC Secretary General Mohammed Sanusi Barkindo has identified international dialogue and the principles underpinning multilateralism as the best utensils in overcoming present challenges, while the impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic on the global energy industry formed a large part of discussions during the OPEC-China dialogue in a broad range of topics with regard to the short, medium, and long-term prospects.
Of comradeship between OPEC and China have never been better. This is because they heeded the call from one another to promote international dialogue. To this effect, they agreed on the importance of multilateralism and development of the international energy sector, particularly with regard to consideration of climate change and sustainable development. The meeting emphasized the importance of improving energy access and energy affordability. OPEC Secretary General congratulated China and President Xi Jinping for eradicating energy poverty.
The OPEC Secretariat is also developing its own big data platform, which contains easily accessible oil and gas data from multiple sources for the use of OPEC member countries' representatives.
The dialogue also dwelt on significance of technology in addressing greenhouse gases emissions and blue hydrogen. Barkindo urged Chinese environmental specialists to be involved in climate change negotiations to join OPEC technical meetings and high-level dialogue next year. The discussions had highlighted how important sharing data is, vowing to consider concrete steps to improve data sharing between OPEC and China. In Abuja, Lydia Sampson, NTA News.
Now let's take a breather here and join Dotun Wemi in Lagos for some reports. Hello, Dotun.
Hello, Elizabeth. The timeless delay experienced in the hearing of appeals due to the volume of cases in the docket and the limited number of justices available to hear them has been described as a bane in the nation's judicial system while working towards decongestion of cases in courts. Abolore Ogbara reports that this was the highlight at the opening of the annual conference of justices of the Court of Appeal held in Lagos.
President of the Court of Appeal, Justice Monica Dongbam Mesem, said out of over 4,630 appeals and 6,207 motions pending in the Lagos division of the court, a total of 345 appeals were scheduled for hearing, comprising 289 commercial appeals, 10 human rights appeals, and 46 criminal appeals. She said the task of decongesting pending cases is to send warning to the public that the court will no longer be a dumping ground to those who seek to hamper justice delivery in Nigeria.
We have come out to demonstrate our abhorrence to this practice by taking the bull by the horn. This working retreat consists of special court sessions involving 23 special panels. Due to time and space constraints, the panels will sit in batches of 6 special panels on the designated days between the 7th to the 10th of December 2020. From the hours of 9 to 12 p.m. daily, each panel will hear about 15 ripe appeals, with 5 panels sitting at 5 designated courtrooms of the National Industrial Court, Ikoyi, and 1 panel at the Court of Appeal, Court 1 here.
The appeal court president expressed appreciation to the various heads of courts on the concerted efforts by all to ensure that justice prevails. In Lagos, Abolore Ogbara, NTA News.
Away from the judiciary, African economies cannot bear the increasing cost of corruption, which impedes social-economic development and deprives governments the ability to lift its citizens out of poverty. This is the submission of economic experts at a conference organized to prefer workable solutions to graft with a view to driving growth and development of the continent. Abalade Salami reports.
The global perception about Africa is that it is a continent where corruption, poverty and unemployment thrive. This perception may not be too far from the truth, as the Transparency International report states that 43% of Africans are living in poverty, while over $50 billion worth of stolen assets flow out of Africa yearly. The figures may sound alarming though, but the narrative has changed in Nigeria as the present administration frowns at the practice.
Government actions alone cannot and will not be effective. A broad coalition against corruption which encompasses government, private sector stakeholders, the press, the business community, and the general public is necessary.
As the saying goes, that a tree doesn't make a forest, meaning as Nigeria is tackling the cankerworm, experts at this virtual meeting are suggesting that leaders in the continent must adopt accountability, integrity, and moral values as a means of engagement to resolve all forms of corrupt practices.
We learned a long time ago that economic well-being is at the heart of stable society, and that real and sustainable prosperity can only be achieved if private enterprise is encouraged, enabled, and rewarded.
Not only is it the cost of production, but also increases uncertainty in African economies, hence decreasing investment and financial capital and human capital.
Conference attendees agreed that while the ultimate responsibility of combating corruption lies with the countries and their citizens, there is an urgent need for both regional cooperation and international support. The 3 days brainstorming session with participants from the continent and beyond has as its theme tackling corruption to reduce poverty and unemployment in Africa, a necessity for building resilience to global risk. In Lagos, Abolade Salami, NTA News.
With minimal success recorded in the inclusion of people with disability and the day-to-day running of state activities, the group says full compliance with Lagos State Special People's Law by public and business organizations will make for greater achievement. Annie Daniels reports.
Ihoma Kelechi, Dare Dairo, David Anyele and Bolarinwa Salami are all people with disability.
I'm a legal practitioner up to LL, that's master degree level.
To have a PGD, postgraduate diploma in genetic counseling from the University of Lagos.
Being consistent enough to make the right impact and be noticed by people who could have enough trust in you to give you bigger responsibilities.
This is why they have taken it upon themselves to make a case for those in the same condition.
There should be a concerted efforts to make sure that the specifications for building a ramp is met.
People will not walk up to you and say, okay, come and defend me in court. No, they will not come ordinarily. They first of all see that disability in you because they think of ability in you.
They commended the federal government for taking drastic steps aimed at making life comfortable for PWDs by passing the disability bill into law.
Lagos State government have also set up Lagos State Office for Disability Affairs, charged with operationalizing the law, ensuring that government program activities respond to the needs of people with disabilities.
They, however, believe there are still areas of challenges that must be attended to.
If a person with disabilities or organization of disability writes a letter to a policymaker drawing attention on disability issues or requesting for a courtesy visit or for partnership, the first thing that will come to their mind is that they are coming to spend money, which is not correct.
Persons with albinism are stigmatized right from their home. In Yoruba aspect, they are called deities.
The Center for Citizens with Disability, CCD, in delivering its assessment of compliance with Lagos State Special People's Law by public and private institutions, is optimistic that creating more awareness will help PWDs perform optimally. In Lagos, Annie Daniels, NTA News.
And that's it from here. Let's now take a break. Nationwide continues shortly.
Thanks for staying with us. Earlier, we told you that leaders and members of the All Progressives Congress at all levels have been tasked to make the required sacrifices towards ensuring that the governing party remains a formidable democratic enterprise focused on building a strong, united and prosperous nation. We now have visuals of the NEC meeting presented.
The virtual meeting of the APC National Executive Committee was convened to review the activities of the Caretaker and Extraordinary Convention Planning Committee in the last 5 months, as well as chart the best way forward. The 13-member committee, headed by Governor Mai Mala Buni of Yobe State, was set up to, amongst others, restore peace in the party, conduct membership registration, organize a national convention, and mobilize the party for upcoming elections.
Most, if not all, the court cases inherited from the last National Working Committee have been terminated. The NEC may also wish to recognize the new entrants and returnees to the party and equally take special note of the return of some of our members who left the party in the build-up to the 2019 elections. To crown it all, His Excellency Dev Umahi, Governor of Ebonyi, has also left PDP and his supporters have joined our party.
President Muhammadu Buhari has expressed the conviction that the initiatives made by the Caretaker Committee brought what he called a remarkably new atmosphere of hope in the party.
Despite the challenge to restore peace in the party and the series of elections at hand, the fact that we have gained more members and that we are not losing members to the opposition under the present interim leadership indicates improvement of the party. What is required now is for all of us as leaders of the party to maintain discipline and ensure that this new momentum is protected, sustained, and that decisions of party organs are respected by every member.
President Buhari insists that all party members must have respect for each other as obtained during the merger talks that produced the APC.
Our challenges in the party require that we take steps to rebuild the party from ward to national levels. The initiative to carry out membership registration revalidation is therefore a necessary step. I believe that as leaders, our shared vision is to ensure that we are able to produce leaders that will not inherit any of the problems that led to the decision to dissolve our last National Working Committee. There should be no debate about the fact that we all want to have a united leadership for our party, the APC, at all levels.
Such leaders, he said, must be able to manage big challenges that always come with elections. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
Let's now talk aviation. Cost of jet fuel price, forex fluctuations and charges imposed on airlines are some of the factors contributing to the hike in airfares. Ekemini Williams monitored the conversation by aviation experts on Good Morning Nigeria as they suggest that there's need for government to urgently provide palliatives for the industry.
Over the last few months, there has been a steep hike in airfares. For instance, Abuja to Lagos fare, which was previously about 30 to 40,000 naira, is now about 60,000 naira. This has been a huge concern for travelers and for a sector that generates benefits to consumers and the wider economy. Aviation experts on the program say these benefits to the Nigerian economy may be under threat if government does not provide immediate tax reliefs, policy review, and COVID-19 palliatives to the aviation industry.
Part of what the government needs to do is not necessarily to dole out cash, not in all instances. Some of it is required. Again, there's need for forbearance. In terms of taxes, there's a need to reduce in some cases eliminate some elements of the taxes. Yes, there are charges by the agencies. These are statutory charges that airlines will normally pay, but there's a multiplicity of all several taxes that are imposed on airlines.
The finance ministry and the central bank, unless they accept a major mind shift and sit down and talk with the airlines and talk again with the Ministry of Aviation, we will not get out of this quagmire.
Susan Akporie, who represented travel agencies, admits that the hike in price has affected agencies negatively.
Here in Nigeria, we are left with only air tickets to sell because those are the options that we have available. But in other countries, when I give them a quote for air ticket and they're like, that's too high, and I'll give them an option for train, and they might go for it and they still achieve the same thing.
In Abuja, Ekemini Williams, NTA News.
And joining me now in the studio to speak on the issue before us is the Managing Director, Air Safari, Bello Hamid Alkali. Mr. Alkali, it's nice to have you in our studio.
It's my pleasure to be.
Thank you so much. Aviation industry remains one of the worst hit sectors by COVID-19. What do you think is possible for this increment in airfare?
Well, the airlines are complaining about the hike in fuel price, about the forex issue and other factors militating like the taxes imposed by NCAA, FAN, NAMA. But over time, I think we've had this problem in Nigeria that when something crops up, these airlines take advantage of the situation. If you are talking about fuel hike, what is the percentage of the fuel hike? And is it comparable to the percentage of the ticket hike? No. Absolutely no. The last time I bought ticket out of Maiduguri was 30,000 to Abuja. As at Sunday, I had to buy ticket at 118,000 naira. You are talking about 200 and something % increase. I'm sure the cost of fuel did not increase that way. If you are talking about forex, about you buying your spare parts in dollars, do I buy spare parts every day? No. No. That would be very scary for me to know my airline that I use every day have to buy spare parts every day. If you are going for C-check, you need 18 months to go for C-check. In 18 months, if I cannot save $2 million, I have no business in the aviation industry. So in whatever capacity is the cost of the dollar today, that should have been planned long before this time.
Okay, I would like to ask you this. If it's not taxation, forex fluctuation, hiking, jet fuel, so what seems to be the problem?
I've always said it. Nigeria's aviation industry is very unique than any industry in the world, any aviation in the world. Unique in the sense that after the demise of Nigeria Airways as a professional outfit, we lost it. People come, they have money, they can buy an aeroplane, they want to enter into the aviation industry without the profession in their head. I started with an airline. My chairman sent somebody to America to buy him an airplane, a private jet he could use. This guy went and saw a 727 that has capacity for 150 passengers with a VIP configuration, and he said, Chairman, we can start an airline. And there we go, we started an airline. So that man was not practicing aviation. He was only doing that to satisfy his needs, to satisfy the needs of his friends. It's like I am boarding a flight, I have 70 passengers on the aircraft, he would call me, Bello, where is my aircraft? I'm in Lagos, I'm boarding to Port Harcourt. Drop everybody, my friend is coming, take him to Sokoto. So is that an airline business? No, it is not. So at the end of the day, the money that is made that day is being spent that day by this man. There is no recourse whatsoever to say, I have to take this aircraft on maintenance tomorrow. You have to save money to take aircraft on maintenance. So it's not an issue of, I have a COVID-19 situation today, I have fuel hike today, I have to buy my spare parts in dollars today. And of course, Nigeria is not a manufacturing nation. We import everything. And for us to get dollars, we have to sell the fuel. If you don't sell fuel, you can't get dollars.
All right, I'm happy you're a critical stakeholder in the industry. Are there plans to adjust the fares or inject palliatives to cushion the hardship for passengers?
I am always surprised when you mention everyday government must come into this.
Okay.
These are guys doing their private individual businesses. The government has already provided an enabling environment for you. For goodness sake, they build the airports, they build the runway. These are multi-billion-dollar projects which were done. What I will beg for the government to do right now is to really monitor these airlines. We don't have it. We used to have a Directorate of Consumer Protection in the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority. But you and I know the Nigerian factor. Today, it does not necessarily follow they are doing the right thing, because if they are, somebody should be on a computer to check from 6 in the morning till 6 in the evening how much are tickets selling. If somebody is skyrocketing his ticket, you call him and find out, why are you doing this? You get my point?
Of course.
So, I mean, if the government did not step up, we, the customers, are the ones that are going to suffer every day.
Okay. No doubt that Nigeria has entered into the second wave of COVID-19. What can be done to prevent the industry from being shut down for a particular period of time because of the virus?
Most definitely, we have to wake up from our slumber to make sure that, yes, COVID-19 second wave is real. I'm sitting down here, I'm supposed to get to the United States, but I mean, I cannot get to the United States because it's really hard for me to get to the United States today. So if that is the case, certainly there are people coming in here and they will come with COVID-19. The effort of the government is commendable. They should step it up to make sure we have a situation whereby it's curtailed. We don't want to shut down the aviation industry. The aviation industry will definitely shut down simply because if you consider the world over is affected. It is really the aviation industry and the tourism industry that is hard hit with this COVID-19.
All right, Bello Ahmed Alkali, Managing Director, Air Safari, thank you so much for your time.
You're most welcome.
Thank you for enlightening us.
I appreciate you inviting me. Thank you.
Now to climate talks. 5 years after Nigeria submitted the nationally determined contribution document on climate change, the country is yet to benefit from the green climate funds of the United Nations as a result of poor articulation of climate impact projects. To overcome this challenge, the ECOWAS Commission is building the capacity of local experts who will lead the nation's efforts at accessing funding for climate change projects. Kelvin Eunwaye will tell us more.
Climate Fund is the world's biggest funding organ for climate change mitigation or adaptation projects. Its intervention ranges between $10 million and $250 million, depending on the scope of the projects. These funds come handy for countries because of lack of budgetary provisions for climate change activities. For 4 days, these participants, selected from all government and non-governmental organizations working on climate change programs, will be taken through modules that will sharpen their skills in developing successful proposals on projects for international funding.
A new approach has been initiated and conducted that links the training of experts at the national level on the formulation of projects to meet the criteria of the Green Climate Funds and the Adaptation Fund.
Help Nigeria as a national expert to develop project proposals that will meet with the global standards so that Nigeria can begin to address more of the issues that are emerging from the environmental sector.
Nigeria's focal person for climate change at the Federal Ministry of Environment, Halima Bawa Buhari's presentation on the nation's current activity was presented to the forum. In Abuja, Kelvin Eunwaye, NTA News.
And Salamatu in Kaduna has the next set of reports for us on Nationwide. Hello, Salamatu.
Hello, Elizabeth, and thanks for joining us here in Kaduna. We begin with health matters. Medical practitioners under the auspices of Islamic Medical Association of Nigeria are advising those in positions of authority and the public to be wary that the novel coronavirus is still within us, just as they call for special attention to other emerging infectious diseases. This was the focus of presentations at this year's medical conference in Dutse, the Jigawa state capital. Bashir Ibrahim Nababa has the details.
A free medical outreach by the medical practitioners precedes the lecture series, benefiting more than 5,000 poor and vulnerable in hard-to-reach areas of Jigawa State. At the conference, presenters identified evolution of pathogenic agents, resistance to drugs, human behavior, and demographic changes as among the factors responsible for the emergence and re-emergence of unknown diseases, while providing solutions from the Islamic point of view.
The teachings of Islam are not in contradiction with the findings of science and medicine in this field, in the sense that one should not believe that necessarily I will just go about my life heedless of anything, of any measure that is needed and required of me to take in order to prevent myself from being infected by a particular disease.
These infectious diseases are becoming more rampant, and new ones are coming on board, and old ones that were previously unknown or were previously history, they are now coming back.
The Jigawa State Deputy Governor Umar Nabadi advised the state and federal government to sustain the synergy in the fight against coronavirus and other infectious diseases.
Infectious disease that is currently going on, as I said earlier, is COVID-19. And I'm happy to announce that in Jigawa State, the government has not allowed to contain these diseases.
This year's event was attended by medical personnel from all states, and the FCT had the theme Emergence and Re-emergence of Infectious Diseases, the Medico-Islamic Perspectives. From Dutse, Bashir Ibrahim Nawaba, NTA News.
Kaduna State Government has commenced the implementation of court judgment in respect of land encroachment at the National Eye Center here in Kaduna as part of the ongoing efforts to restore the original master plan of the center. Haruna Muhammad reports that the residential quarters illegally erected on the center's land have been demolished. The reports.
National Eye Center Kaduna has been having a running battle with its host community on account of land encroachment and speculations. These prompted the center to seek legal intervention in 2010 before the Kaduna High Court, which granted its prayers, presenting the center the possession and a certificate of judgment in 2011. It took 9 years for the execution of judgment. Kaduna State Government had to move in to assist this center take over its land.
Over the years, we have been announcing, warning, telling people not to buy, not to sell, not to engage in any land transaction in the National Eye Center.
These structures pulled down lack genuine documents, as most of those who claim to have purchased the land acquired them illegally.
Lordship Justice James Shehu Abiri, then of the Kaduna State High Court, now a Justice of the Court of Appeal, ordered the National Eye Center to immediately take over possession of that land. He adjudged the villagers there as trespassers and went ahead to make an order that in the event that the villagers, that is the defendants in that case, refuse to vacate, they should be ejected forcefully.
The management of the National Eye Center appealed to the people to desist from dealing with land speculators around the hospital, as the center is not ceding any portion of its land. In Kaduna, I am Haruna Mohammed, NTA News.
That's our package. Over to you, Elizabeth.
Thank you so much. In furtherance of its quest for peace and sustainable development, youth from the 19 northern states of Nigeria have mapped out strategy to engage leaders at all levels. This was at a meeting held in Abuja.
The Unity in Diversity Forum Roundtable is the second of its kind by a group of young Nigerians from diverse political, ethnic, religious and tribal backgrounds. It is a platform for national conversation which focuses attention on improving security, education, economy and infrastructure in the North.
It is a discussion to get the younger Northerners to be more actively involved in finding solutions to the challenges that bedevil the North in the areas aforementioned. We have also discussed the need for conversing on national and Northern identity, because we mostly identify, Nigerians mostly identify themselves by their religion first, and their ethnicity, and then thirdly, their nationality. We have to do something about that. We have also come to the realization that the major problem of the North are ourselves, the Northerners. We have simply refused to pay attention to our problems. We focus too much on conspiratorial theories.
Their recommendations and observations include increasing women participation in politics, empowering and engaging the traditional rulers in the fight against insecurity. In Abuja, Salihu Abdullahi Gwanara, NTA News.
Still on peace talks, commitments in stabilizing the security architecture in Zamfara State and parts of the northwest region of Nigeria is receiving a boost through support of the international community. This came to the fore at a peaceful dialogue conference to end the avoidable killings of people and destruction of property, put at a huge cost. Abubakar Usman Akwanga reports.
Zamfara State has come under serious siege by bandits in recent time, killing hundreds and displacing many from their abodes. To end the reign of terror in the state, a sustainable partnership with the Embassy of France is facilitating a recovery process and return of peace.
We were able to identify some of the key drivers of rural violence and insecurity, conflicts management and intercommunity relations, crops and land management techniques, small ruminant production, fattening and marketing techniques, income-generating activities, and conflict-sensitive communication.
Participants from Zamfara State will share their insights on the current state of insecurity and the conflict, the efforts being carried out by state government, and the needed support from other national and international actors.
Crimes such as banditry, cattle rustling, and abduction are seeking for urgent solution to stimulate activities in the commercially viable Northwest Zone.
I would like to seize this opportunity to reaffirm the commitment of the French government to support projects from civil society organizations working towards the promotion of an effective humanitarian response, peace dialogue, and peace-building processes in Nigeria.
Stakeholders say the multi-sectorial security challenges require increased response of humanitarian support and community cooperation to tackle the avoidable disruption of peace. In Abuja, Abubakar Usman Akwanga, NTA News.
You watch Nationwide on NTA. Let's now join Agatha in Benin for some reports. Hello, Agatha.
Hello, Elizabeth. Thank you for joining us in Benin. In its determination to provide proactive response to fire outbreak, the federal government has procured and inaugurated a multi-million naira firefighting truck for the Federal Fire Service in Ondo State. Olubumi Iroju reports that Minister of Interior Rauf Aregbesola and Ondo State Governor Oluwarotimi Akeredolu were at the ceremony.
Incidences of fire outbreak have become a worrisome occurrence in different parts of the country. Ondo State had its own ugly experiences as a major market recently burned and property worth millions of naira were destroyed. While few days to the governorship election in the state, the headquarters of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Akure recorded a fire outbreak which destroyed over 5,000 card readers. These incidences necessitated the procurement of a firefighting truck by the Federal Ministry of Interior to tackle fire incidences in the state.
2018, Mr. President also approved another set. As I'm talking to you, we have 106 firefighting vehicles.
We're going to make efforts to ensure that our fire service comes up and at least meet a minimum requirement.
President Muhammadu Buhari is keenly committed to improving the living condition of our people and guaranteeing that we give the best in ensuring their welfare as well.
The people of Ondo State are optimistic that the firefighting truck will help save lives and property in the wake of any fire outbreak. In Akure, Olubumi Iroju, NTA News.
Some police officers from the Department of Anti-Cultism and Kidnapping in Ogida Police Division in Benin City have been summoned by the Edo State Judicial Panel of Inquiry. They are to answer for allegations of violation of human rights, intimidation and extortion of members of Okundaye family of Akugbe Street off Oposiloko Road in Benin City. Eugenia Ndubisi has details.
The officers referred to the petition are DPO, Ogida Division, CSP Tope, and OC Anti-Kidnapping and Cultism, CSP Balogun. After cross-examination of a video evidence tendered by the petitioner, chairman of the panel says there is need to summon the respondents so as to hear their own side of the story.
Some of these people should be invited before this so that it does not appear one-sided.
There was a heated argument in the case between Emmanuel Abebe, a 41-year-old staff of the Edo State Independent Electoral Commission, versus the police in case of brutality in 2011. The argument ensued when counsel to the police objected the medical report brought by the petitioner on the extent of injuries sustained, which has left him using condylar plate.
The medical report that was signed by an authority in the University of Benin Teaching Hospital, an authority in that area, the process of getting it involved the police.
Other matters also before the panel this Tuesday include Fred Obeifo versus Juan Osaho, who was alleged to have shot the NSAS protesters at Ring Road. The panel received a total of 140 petitions and has 90 days to conclude all the matters and make recommendations to the state government. In Benin, Eugenia Ndubisi, NTA News.
And from Ekiti State, 7 inmates of the Ado-Ekiti Correctional Center have regained freedom with a warning never to return to crime. Chief Judge of Ekiti State, Justice Ayodeji Daramola, during a jail delivery exercise, reiterates commitment to regular decongestion of the center and ensuring that inmates with lesser offenses are not kept for too long on awaiting trial. Yemi Dalemo reports that 2 spectators arrested in Ikere, Ekiti during the burning of a police station following the violent turn of the NSAS protest were amongst those who regained freedom.
Reviewing the list of 387 inmates awaiting trial, Justice Ayodaramola expressed displeasure at the lawlessness of members of the defunct SARS operatives who filed charges against helpless citizens who could not meet up with their demands, thereby making them to languish in the correctional facility. The Chief Judge, who lamented the remands of some underage inmates at the center, expressed appreciation to the President for disbanding SARS operatives, charging the Legal Department of Nigerian Police to take over the backlog of cases left behind.
Some of the inmates that I released, they will now increase their age. That is the most anointing. A boy that is not more than 13 years old, they will put 20, so as to give them the reason to keep them in a correctional center here. This is inhuman.
The Chief Judge expressed determination to quick dispensation of justice, promising to conduct the jail decongestion exercise regularly to ensuring that those with lesser offences are not kept behind bars unnecessarily. Controller of the Correctional Center, Idris Abdul-Rashid, and the released inmates expressed gratitude to the Chief Judge, promising not to take the opportunity of new life granted to them in vain. Apart from the 27 inmates pardoned, 7 others were granted bail, including a woman. In Ado-Ekiti, Yemi Dalemo, NTA News.
That's it from here. The news continues in Abuja right after this break. Do stay.
Thanks for staying with the NTA. As Nigeria awaits vaccines for the treatment of COVID-19 and with a spike in cases within the FCT and other states, the National Orientation Agency has deployed War Against Indiscipline Brigade to enforce compliance to safety protocols at border towns around the FCT and environs.
The deployment of the Y Brigade is apt following the latest figure by the NCDC on COVID-19 cases in Nigeria. These officers are to man markets, motor parks, schools and border towns to enforce safety protocols. The campaign focuses on health and security and by extension reawaken the consciousness of Nigerians to the dangers of the disease.
We are using our War Against Indiscipline Brigade as foot soldiers for the persuasive enforcement of face mask wearing, physical distancing, and regular hand washing and sanitation in the face of a general lackadaisical attitude towards COVID-19 protocols by the Nigerian public.
The national activity, the agency says, will be replicated in the 36 states of the Federation.
The rate at which COVID-19 is killing people is alarming and is in the increase. I therefore direct all our commands nationwide, from state to local government, to carry out this campaign.
The officers are advised to lead by example. In Abuja,
And Mina in Enugu will bring us reports from her zone. Hello, Mina.
Hello, Elizabeth. Good evening and welcome to Enugu. 5 new rapid response vehicles have been added to the kitty of the Enugu State Fire Service to aid its operations, especially this dry season. Handing over the utility vehicles to the management of the service, Secretary to the State Government, Professor Simon Otuaya, State Government recognizes the importance of an effective fire service in safeguarding lives and property. Susan Eze has details.
The latest additions to the work tools of the Enugu State Fire Service were 4 rapid response vehicles and a 12,000-liter capacity water tanker. These were handed over to the agency by the Secretary to the State Government on behalf of Governor Ugwani, with a charge for the firefighters to utilize these and other equipment earlier procured to ensure that lives and property of residents are safeguarded.
Enugu State Government have also established and expanded the Enugu State Fire Service, and the whole idea of all these fire stations is to ensure that there is immediate response to fire outbreak within the whole of Enugu State.
Appreciating the state government's proactive attention to the service, the Chief Fire Officer, Okudile Oha, disclosed that approval has also been given by the Executive Council for the procurement of more water tankers to enhance their efficiency in response to distress calls.
There's never a time we have received this type of support, and we must discharge our duties with all sense of commitment and passion.
Meanwhile, sensitization campaigns have kicked off in markets to enlighten traders on how to prevent fire outbreaks. In Enugu, Susan Eze, NTA News.
Apologies, that's all we can take from our Enugu Network Center. Next is Sports Update with Olumide Emuntola.
Stakeholders in Nigerian football expressed optimism that Nigeria's under-20 national team, the Flying Eagles, will pick the 3-points at stake in a second group game against their counterparts from Ghana at the ongoing Wafu Zombi under-20 tournament on Wednesday.
You need to do is go in there and do your best.
In another development, in line with the Minister of Youth and Sports Development, Sunday Dare's commitment to start early preparation for Team Nigeria ahead of next year's Olympic Games, the second phase of the camping exercise began on Monday in 3 centers. 14 track and field event athletes are camped in Port Harcourt, 22 para-athletes in Abuja, while 8 lifters are camped in Enugu. From Benin, Elizabeth Omoko reports that Edo State government has appealed to the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 and the National Council on Sports to consider the mood of the season and shift the National Sport Festival to March 2021 instead of the January 3rd, 2021 date approved. The Deputy Governor of the state, Philip Shaibu, while on inspection tour of facilities for the festival, noted that the current date implies that state will have to camp athletes during Christmas and New Year season. In squash, the Nigerian Squash Federation have expressed gratitude to the Ministry of Youth and Sports Development for endorsing squash as a medal-winning event at the forthcoming National Sport Festival, scheduled for Benin City next year. The Squash Federation President Boye Oyenide said the body is delighted that the sport has been accorded due recognition in the festival.
The doubles event, which is new, it hadn't been done at the festival before.
In volleyball, the latest ranking of the World Volleyball Governing Body, FIVB, indicates that the Nigerian male national team is now ranked 106th in the world, 13th best in Africa, while their female counterparts are now ranked 118th in the world and 16th best team in Africa. With sports updates, Olumide Guntola, NTA News.
and nationwide. And today with Sports Update with Olumide Eguntola. Don't forget to connect with the NTA. Reject rape and rapists.